And that's what I found to be the most accurate. I used to be a vegan. I tried vegetarianism and veganism until my body started to fall apart, and then I had to go down another road at thinking, maybe this isn't the right thing for me to do. And over the years, I've seen too many degenerated bodies come out of the vegan and vegetarian lifestyles to know that that is not a valuable biological choice. It's a great moral choice. I myself do not recommend eating anything out of the conventional food chain like that, like growing in that way. But when you have no other choice, you have to do what you have to do and know that your intention will compensate for anything in that regards.
I would suggest that it's likely that those people who don't have the skills to grow their own could shop at local grown markets in their own local areas and perhaps have a better food value and product than shopping at the grocery stores where they're mass imported, mass grown, and likely GMO inspired, although you would want to ask the question of where the source of their food comes from to quantify whether it is in fact a GMO product at the local grown areas.
That's fairly accurate, except right now we have, because of the pollination issue, because pollen from GMOs are being pollinating into the organic agriculture, because there's very little, how can we say that, it's been cross-contaminated, okay? And you want to do your best to eat non-GMO and organic at all possible, but if not, you can't. That's where I do the best I can with locally grown, no GMO, as organic as possible, but just eating plain food is not going to do it. You have to supplement, because the food chain is diminished in minerals, it's lacking the microorganisms, the enzyme content is so low. Even in biodynamics, I had this on my farm with running bricks readings even on my farm when I was feeding the soil. It took me 8 years to get soil that was below sand, heavily farmed, to produce stuff that was actually relatively nutritionally dense. 8 years. And I spent a lot of money and resources to build my soil. So you have to supplement. It's paramount.
Yeah. And I've heard you're not the only one who's talked about this diet. I mean, you're like the fifth person I've heard who has gone out of their way to make the point that, grains and breads and all of that, that's not who we are. That's not what will make us healthy.
No, history is history, and if anyone does any legitimate history research, they know. That is why every culture on the planet had, because most people don't, the cultures don't anymore for the most part, they had a special relationship with nature and the animals that lived in nature, as well as the herbs and everything else. Okay? So I've got a roll of books on my shelf that say that. I mean, you can look at the vegetarian myth is one. We have the primal body. We can look at fibermenace.com, and he goes into painstaking amounts of information to get the point across that we do not eat insoluble fiber. It is not a healthy choice.
Well, is it not also true that I've heard, and I don't know, it seems to, when I go outside in my bare feet and I kind of walk around and work with my herbs or something, do you not also agree that there is a spiritual connection that humans have with the earth and with nature that you don't get in front of watching TV?
I agree with that, absolutely. We have a connection with the earth that we need the earth. It's like the earth needs us if we're going to be the stewards of the earth. But we need the earth also to come in contact with it, because even in today's world, it's even more important than it used to be, because toxins in our bodies have a positive charge electrically. It's just the way it is. The earth has a natural negative charge. And there's a whole philosophy now. You can go to earthing, I think it's earthing.com or earthing.net or something, where you get that ionic exchange through your skin to detox, but you have to come in contact with the earth. And my aunt back in the 60s and the 70s had had a clay bath, hot springs place to go in California out in the desert. And you basically submerge your body in mud that come from natural mineral springs. And the healing effects are amazing. I mean, cultures have known this. It's just due to recently, the last 150 years, we've been uneducated and, de-educated away from actual truth. And we've been told lies.
Absolutely.
Intentional.
Absolutely. And not only that, you and I think we all recognize that the sun, for us to get vitamin D through the sun, so being outside and gardening or walking or being in touch with the earth and the sun and the outdoors, all of that is that not both physically and spiritually regenerative for us?
It is. And here's the issue with the vitamin D is actually a hormone that's created under the sun, and those precursors only come through animal products. Not only vitamin D, but vitamin A, vitamin E, K, and some of the Bs. So precursors only come through animal sources or animal product sources. And that's been proven, for 70 years now. But see, that information is not well known or well accepted because that's how do you want to say, it's been suppressed.
Well, now, does that include eggs for the people who, I have a friend and she says she can't eat anything with a face. So can you do this with eggs?
Well, that's too bad because if you breathe every breath of air, science is proving that you're killing thousands upon thousands of microorganisms, which are basically miniature cows. So this idea of being spiritual and a face, and I don't buy that.
Okay.
It's because people are so detached from life and death, of the real nature and the cycles of nature, that they're so, I just get so maddened when I hear stuff like that. I want to scream.
I know a lot of vegetarians who think that way.
Well, I used to be there, and it used to frustrate the pants off of me because, I grew up on a farm where we raised our own meat. It was a way of life. My uncle used to go around and save all the blood to make blood sausage because that was such a delicacy. When you got sick, that was something that you ate. And this idea of not having a face, you breathe in, you're killing. Life is death. Death is life. To be really honest with you, in my opinion, there is no life or death. There's only cycles. Because in nature, the plant dies, the fungus eats it. The fungus dies, the bacteria eats it. The bacteria die, and through its life, it gives minerals and things to the plants. The plants feed the animals, and then we eat the animals or the plants. And we die, and we go back to nature. Everything is cyclic in nature. And when you get detached from real nature spirituality, you lose the ability to comprehend life and death as it really is. That's my opinion now. And this is why I believe that this thought, this vegetarian, veganism, life and death thing is so detrimental, that's so prevalent today in our society. They've lost, they meaning those people that buy into that lie, have gone away from nature and the way things really work according to the universe.
Well, that is extremely an important way to look at it. It's a philosophy that gets back into the cycles of life, and a lot of people seem to have gotten away from that completely.
Well, it's not that they've gotten away. It's they've been purposefully led away from it.
When our founders of America originally founded this country, it was founded as an agrarian society, and the national security was the reason that we had to produce our food so we could insulate ourselves from starvation and just attritions of the food sources for the Americas, and that's what inspired the westward expansion, or what was termed the manifest destiny, and we've forgotten what our manifest destiny was and gotten away from our agrarian roots, and that's part of why we're in such danger these days.
I believe that.
I agree with that too. Well, gentlemen, I think we're going to have to start wrapping it up, and I'd like to put in a few announcements, if I might. I think this has been a very stimulating program, and Will, I think you've got a whole lot more to teach us all, and I'm sure Deandra's going to have you back on again and again. So, gentlemen, thank you, and let me proceed and give the announcements about what's coming up.
All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This was great. Coming up this Saturday, April 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern, Freedom Reigns will be hosting a National County Project conference call. We plan on discussing more ideas regarding setting up county relocalization projects. So for all who've been emailing us asking for a way to help, this is where you need to be to find the answer to that question. To join us, the call-in number is 209-647-1400. The code is 108487. You can also get that information on the Freedom Reigns USA website on the County Project page. For our next program on Freedomizer Radio this coming Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a special show featuring the Freedom Reigns crew. Drake will be with us again, and we'll be talking about birth, that is, the birth of our nation, death, the death that occurred more specifically during the Civil War era and the 14th Amendment, etc., and resurrection, that would be the ongoing efforts that Drake has been reporting for the past several weeks. I'd like to remind the audience, the Freedom Reigns crew are all volunteers striving to bring you the best and most truthful guests and information possible. So any and all donations that come our way are very much appreciated. You'll find a chip-in on the Freedom Reigns US homepage. I'm hoping that people will email their questions to Will and specifically to Drake, because I think Sunday will give you yet one more opportunity to talk about, ask the questions and find out what's happening with this transition. And on the Saturday program, I've been working on that. Some of you know that my expertise, if you might call it that, is all about relocalization, which is local food, local business, going back to more locally oriented communities. This globalization has created basically, I think, in my opinion, it's created a nightmare for communities across the country. Our local businesses have been bankrupted or destroyed. Instead, we have huge chains. We used to have dinettes or coffee shops that local people owned, and instead we've got Starbucks and some of these other chains. Where I live, it's almost difficult to find a local business, so we're going to talk more about the importance of local business. We're also going to talk a little bit about the importance of establishing a local food system, including growing your own, and we have a lot of ideas to share about that, including patio plants. We're also going to talk about your local government a bit, so people can kind of understand who is their county government. It's amazing how many folks, if you ask who your county commissioners are, they haven't a clue. There's so many across the country who don't even know who their county sheriff is. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And if you go to the website, Relocalize Ohio - Franklin County, and take a look at some of those links before our call on Saturday, maybe you'll have more specific questions, because I'm trying to load that thing up with as many ideas as I can. I've been researching it for about 6 years now, and it's just great. I'm enjoying the ability to share this information, and I'll tell you, people, you can't say local too much. We're going to try to overcome the global movement and go back to the local movement. Well, thanks for joining us today. I think all our good wishes should go out to Deatra so she recovers quickly